seagulls follow the trawl, it's because they think sardines will be thrown into the sea. Thank you.
And as we say now in my country, they brought the buzz and they left the buzz in front of the goal.
And the guy's talking absolute nonsense. Never heard so much rubbish in my life.
Normal men.
What do you mean, normal men?
We're just innocent men.
I'm telling you, don't back down, double down. Don't back down, double down.
Good morning, I'm back already. It's like I've never left this chair. From the Tuesday Club last night to the Breakfast Bar this morning, I am joined by Johnny Logie's back. Johnny, where the hell have you been, mate? What's been happening?
I've been busy. On this new job that I've got. It's keeping more than busy, mate. But there we go. But first of all, I've got to apologise for not dressing up and only having the hands jumper on and not quite looking the part, you know?
So good, mate. And I'm top of the morning to you, Steve Matt. Dedication. He's on holidays for his work, and that's him. Up at the crack of dawn to get on the bus. Love it, mate. How are you?
Not bad. Wayne's dropped off at school, day to myself, so it's cracking.
You're all organised, mate. I like it. So, yeah, we've got, obviously, we're on the hype train this week. Do you know what I mean? The hype bus, whatever you want to call it. And definitely it is going to... I wondered why I said top of the morning there. It's because Ian McIntosh has put it in the comments. I must have read it subconsciously. I've not said that in my life. Anyway, I just noticed that there. I mean, it is a bit of a hype bus this week because there is a big game on Sunday with a lot of connotations to it, a lot of different meaning behind it. You know, a trophy at stake as well. So we will be looking at that. We're going to be looking at it from more of a Celtic point of view. I think me and Jonathan enjoyed having the wooden spoon out last night, and we were enjoying having nibbles at our rivals, or, you know, and sort of comparing almost everything into right, but what about their situation? What would happen to them? I think we're going to do a wee bit of more of a revisit at the weekend and start looking at the form Celtic are actually in right now and what we're bringing to this party on Sunday, because I think it's remiss to not do that. And by the way, just as I'm saying that, I'm having a wee think to myself that that's maybe what Beale's been wanting the whole time. That's why he's taking all this heat. It's why he's talking so much. Is because he doesn't want the focus in the media to be on, or the podcast to be on, how good are Celtic right now. So we're going to talk our team up today because they were a joy to watch at the weekend. Before we do that, it's all that good stuff time. Hit subscribe if you've not hit subscribe. It's completely free. I think there's about 3,365 or something have done it now. It's not bad. If you want to hit the like button for me, though, do that now. because there is loads of yous on the bus already this morning. And the more likes it gets, the more traction, the algorithm, yada yada. If you want to become a Bhoycie Bus member, like Gary Brown, like D-Mac, like Martin Kay, like Patrick McLaughlin, like Hale Times 2, and like Celts on the Hill, David Ferguson, you can do so. It is completely optional. The content's always free. Okay. There's also the small matter of the Bumblebee kits. Hardly I don't think Celtic will be wearing a Bumblebee kit at the weekend. It'll be strictly green and white hoops. However, well, like the Bumblebee kit, and the Bhoycie Bus has decided to bring out its own one. If you are interested, it's crookedarm@ymail.com for PayPal, or you can just send me an email and I can send you my bank details. We will get as many of these into one batch order as possible. Once I think we've hit a cut-off point, I'll just fire the order in. And I can't wait to see loads of folk wearing them. Also, piesports.com, get on the site, get some pie. Steve O'Matt did an unboxing episode. If you have time on your hands this morning after it, dive onto that on the channel and whet your appetite. That was brilliant, by the way. That was class. I enjoyed that so much. So, piesports.com, and use the code BUS1888 and you will get 12.5% off at the checkout. Right, Johnny, since we've not had your take on anything Celtic recently, I did send you some homework last night, didn't I? It's been a while.
You did send me some homework, mate, yeah.
I think it's my only way of going, you've got me getting up this early in the morning, Johnny, even though it was all my idea. I still blame you for it now. So I'm like at 11:30. Right, I need you to go watch the highlights. So I just thought it was I don't know why, curiosity just last night. I thought, I'm going to go watch the highlights again. Probably because I'm looking at it through a different lens. Sort of half gassed on at the weekend. I thought, I'm going to watch it back. Celtic was scintillating at the weekend. I described it to you as in 5 minutes as a highlights package. If you watch it, I think that's as one-sided a highlights package I've ever seen in my life. I don't think I've ever seen 5 minutes get boxed up and presented, or unboxed, Steve, as that dominant. Like, it was frightening how good we were at the weekend. And it reminded me, I was like, you're enjoying watching Celtic so much right now. Let's look at what are we bringing to the party, as I say, on Sunday. I think this team's a box of tricks right now. I think there's guys in the best form they've been in this season, all over the park. Confidence is peaking. We're winning games by 4-goal, 5-goal margins. And like I say, it's maybe partly my fault. I'm almost ignorant to it now, Johnny. I'm going on just talking about the rivalry and winding them up and all this nonsense, whereas let's get our eyes back on what we do. And when we look at what we did at the weekend as a rehearsal, if you like, for this Sunday, we couldn't be better placed to go into this cup final, pal.
No, absolutely not. I think we're playing absolutely brilliant. And yeah, I had already watched the 5-minute highlights that you sent me from homework, Bhoycie, but it was, as I said to you before we came on, if the other 85 minutes was half as good as that 5 minutes that we've seen, then it must have been an absolute joy to watch and be in the stadium to see it. And I'll tell you, the main thing we're going to bring to the party on Sunday is Hatate. I'm going to predict right here and now that he's going to be the match winner. He's going to make the difference. Well, he's going to make the difference, because in that 5-minute clip, there's 3 stunning pieces of skill from him. He beats 3 men and he doesn't even touch the ball inside the penalty box and scores his first goal.
Spot on, mate. Spot on.
I watched it and I thought, how the better watch this breakfast, and my granddaughter's listening apparently. So I thought, how does he manage to do that? How do you beat 3 guys and you don't even touch the ball and then stick it in the net so coolly?
It's the way he shifts. He could do. He'll do all right on Strictly once he's retired. Do you know what I mean? He's hips. He can move, man.
But also there was that defence splitting pass that he put through for Jota, which Jota didn't score. He saved it, but the pass was ridiculous. And then he started the move with that, again, unbelievable skill for his second goal. And you just look at it and you think, if somebody was to ask you, right, watch that, then write down what he done, you wouldn't be able to do it. You wouldn't be able to figure it out in your head. You're just saying, well, he got the ball and then I can't remember what he'd done, but whatever it was brilliant. And he's going to be, I'm not saying he's going to score on Sunday, but I think he's going to be the difference. And we've got so many other players that could make the difference in a game, but he's going to be a level above, I reckon.
You've nailed it, mate. For me, it was Hatate who embodied the display at the weekend, Steve-O. I thought he was an absolute joy to watch, and I don't even know what to call it. The Hatate shimmy? Is it a shimmy that he's doing? I don't even know what it is. But like that, I think the first goal, yeah, unbelievable. The second one, that wee bit of skill, he's done like a drag back, and then he's kind of made someone, and it all seems to be kind of with minimal effort on his part, or that's how he makes it look. He's a special, special talent, and rather than talking about all the time, how much do you think we'd get for him off Southampton and that? Who cares? We've got him. And right now, he's going to be absolutely crucial to what we're trying to achieve on Sunday. And again, the form that he's in matches Celtic's right now for me, Steve-O. And Hatate, yeah, special mention for him at the weekend.
He's flying, mate. He's, as you say, an absolute joy to watch. Everything he'd done looked absolutely effortless, but everything he'd done had a purpose. There was nothing, there was no going through the motions. It was, top gear for the off. Some folk are sort of saying that after the 2 goals went in, that we didn't get out of third gear. Maybe that's so, but if that's your third gear, then it shows you how good 4 and 5 could be, and even 6, because we deal with 6 and 8 gear cars these days. So that's what you've got in reserve. But, I think that for me, I totally agree what you're saying about the importance of Hatate and guys like him getting on the ball and doing their thing to win this game. But I actually think it's going to be a guy that didn't feature that's going to make the difference, because I think Moyes coming straight in and his understated calmness is the one that's going to be picking off, because I'm in a midfield battle against that lot where there's going to be some hammers getting chucked about. You need somebody that can pick them back up and throw them back.
But you talk about form, right, Johnny? You talk about form, and I think Moy in the past month has been sort of the man in the best form for Celtic, you could argue, in the midfield. And that is tough going, by the way. But what was it, something like 6 goals in 8 games, 5 assists? I'm making it up, right? But it was something like that. And you just think, if we could afford him not to play at the weekend, just have the weekend off. And yet we're still putting in displays like that. And I think Steve was right. I think he's primed to play at the weekend. I think he will come back. And I think he enhances the midfield even further as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. He's definitely come on, and it's almost like since he come back from the World Cup, we used to have what we actually had before the World Cup was his not very good twin brother, and then the real Moyes turned up, and that's for us to say we want Moy or even need Moy to be playing on Sunday was unthinkable 2 months ago to say that, So you got to give the guy some credit. He's obviously wasn't fit before, or he wasn't match fit. He's got back to his fitness, and he's now shown the form that only one man in the Celtic connections thought he had, and that was Ange. None of us really backed it, did we?
No.
Well, no, I think I described it as an underwhelming signing because the optics of it, I just didn't like. I just thought 31, 32, free transfer, barely played in 2 years, Champions League coming up. It didn't make sense to me. Perhaps there was a bit of bias then for me that I was going to be proved right. I don't know. But the way I remember it, his form was shite, right? And that is the truth. I think his form was poor. Now, completely different set of scenarios. And you look at the midfield and you go, in Hatate and Moy, we've got probably our 2 most informed players right now, Johnny. And then you're going to combine that with probably the best midfielder in the country, Callum McGregor. That's a midfield that, whether it's blood and thunder, whatever it is, that is a footballing midfield that should be able to win games domestically, no matter who they're up against. That being your closest rivals or bottom of the league, they should be able to win comfortably. And that's not me trying to elevate pressure on Celtic. That's me saying that from a position of excitement, Johnny, at the tools we've got at our disposal now and the form that they're in. That come the acid test, if you like, whatever you want to call it, the one of your toughest game of the season. They're ready to rock and roll now, mate. Yeah,
and there's one player there you didn't even mention. That's Kyogo, and I mean he's back on form as well, isn't he? So he didn't even rate a mention there. And Maeda as well. He's again since the World Cup, he's got back playing well, scoring his Messi goals, even throwing in a couple of cracking goals that you didn't really see in his locker before. So yeah, we've got to be confident about Sunday. Not too confident, not cocky. Get out there, get the job done, and get it done by half time. And the worst part is I'm not going to see a single minute of the game because I'm going to be busy at work.
Oh, that's a shame. That is a pity.
Yeah, it certainly is. But there you go. That's just the real life pans out, eh? But
It absolutely is. Steve-O, if we take the same approach we did against Aberdeen, I've got the stats in front of me, right? Again, another display, just under 80% possession. Like, how is that the new normal? How is that the new normal? 20 efforts on goal, just the 20 this time. I mean, there was a lot of this in the live chat. Now, I knew you were in it last night as well. You'll have seen it. A lot of people saying, we turn up and we play our football, we win, simple as. I'm sort of reading those going, I don't really like that attitude. However, I kind of know where it's coming from when you look at the form I'm talking about Celtic being in right now, the utter sheer dominance they're showing in these games. You know, possession stats like that, shots on goal like that, and then the quality and the sprinkling of magic dust that we're seeing from the likes of it, whether it be Atati's shimmy, Maeda's brilliant cutbacks, Kyogo's brilliant, finishing record right now, which is a joke as well. And you combine all that and you go, is there an argument to be if we turn up and play to what was maybe it's not getting said in as complacent a manner as I maybe was reading it as last night. Maybe what they're doing is going, no, boys, look at what we're doing to teams. Like if we turn up and do that, there will be no answer to Celtic on Sunday.
No, listen, it's 100%. You can't. I was going to say you can't be overconfident. Of course, you can be overconfident, but using your term, based on the optics, based on how it's been shaping up, we've seemed to have done this thing where we've done it last year, come that turn, get through the January into February, we start to motor a wee bit slow this season in the pickup, but it's all starting to come together. The goals are coming, the performances look complete. There's very little mistakes to talk about in there, so you can't help but be positive. And when you look at it, we don't have any real injury, concerns or not. So it comes back to the old phrase, on paper, if we do what we do, then it should be a cakewalk. We've got to look at Ibrox, because I thought that as well. See if we can start the way that we've done in that game, but make sure that we capitalise when these chances come up, because that for me is going to be the important thing. I'm full of confidence, and I think I'm going to say at least a 2-goal clear win in whatever variation that is. 2-0, 3-1, I think it's going to be 2 goals in it. But the important thing for me is to get a strong lead going into half time, because we want to make sure if we're ahead, that we stamp our authority and we make sure that it puts the wind out their sails, because if it's a tight game, that's when jiggery pokery can come in, and no matter how good you are, there's always that. But I'm confident that we'll win the day, because we're on the right trajectory, and they seem to be dragging themselves through games, whereas we're just coasting through games.
Well, this is it, Steve-O, because when it comes to their results, they've been very impressive. But dragging yourself through it against Celtic in the form Celtic are in right now,
doesn't happen. You will be picked off.
It's not an option, pal. It's not an option. Now, when we have the start, like we did at Ibrox, for example, you're right. This time around, in these bigger games, we make sure we're converting our chances. Again, though, I go back to it. I just feel like right now the confidence is peaking right now, and I just think we've had enough games now since the World Cup of this form to go, when we get the chances, I'm probably even confident then, but I'm probably more confident now that we will capitalise, we will take these opportunities. And when we start in the manner that we do start almost every game now, right? And it's not just the start. I think there's a lot more with Celtic now that is controlled. There's more of a control about their tempo in the second half of these games, is it? Before, I think last season at times, particularly in the first half of the season, it fell off a cliff because they couldn't keep up with themselves, right? It was weird to put it, but I think Celtic were struggling to actually maintain what they were doing before. Now they seem to they're not dropping off as such. The possession stats show you that. Their game management seems to be far better. They're far more got to grips with Ange Ball now. Do you know what I mean? Everyone's singing for the same spreadsheet, as I was saying at the weekend. Everyone seems to be, though. And I just think when you combine that with the starting like a steam train that we expect, with the confidence peaking, with the better in-game management, we are ticking a lot of boxes. And yes, I am being loads of self-love for Celtic right now, and I am being biased, but you know what? We need to give our team the credit that they deserve as well. If it ain't going to be forthcoming from other quarters, and it is going to be, as I say, a situation I've enjoyed getting dragged into, the back and forth with them and all that. Maybe that's because focusing on all our good points ain't something even Mr. Beale wants or anyone wants in the media, because there's so many plus points right now, Steve, about the team.
Yeah. No, listen, it's easy. We've seen the narrative. It happens. You'd be surprised. It's no surprise to folk that there's a cup final coming up because they want to compare us, that we're on a same keel, that we're both top of our game and everything else in between. But if they take a wee step back and they actually look at it, there is no comparison to be made. There's one team that are on the up, and there's one team that are just getting by. And as you say, just getting by is not going to work out. I think, I don't want to be overconfident, certainly not. That can always bite you, but we have every right to be confident. And getting into this week, for me, that confidence is only going to grow and grow. And come Sunday, well, you know what? I'll be absolutely crapping myself, as we always do. But when the game kicks off, I expect us to start quick. And I honestly can't see any, that even with the players that they've got out, I can't see that making a difference, because the quality across the pitch that we've got, and as you said, everything's clicking right now. Game management is exceptional, where it just, everything's working, everybody knows where it is, and the fitness levels look good. And then we bring on those subs, and there's no drop off.
Yeah, it's a daunting prospect when you know, Johnny, that when you play against Celtic, there's 16 of those players that you're going to need to deal with over the 90 minutes, not 11. Do you know what I mean? It's the 5 sub rule. Undeniably, we are maximising the 2 hour, use, and that suits us, by the way, particularly when you play at such a high tempo, and then the depth of the squad comes into it, and the financial advantage we've got over every other team is in plain sight. Because you look sometimes at the subs coming on, you go, I would have started him. Celts on the hill wants to know, Johnny, do you think Ange will start Forrest again? And before we come to that question, I mean, for me, it's a flat no. I don't think that will happen again. Although I was saying last night, I do still expect a wee curveball in there. I can't envisage where it will be, but I do think there will be a curveball of some sort. And I'm going to need to try and think of and take a wee punt at what that will be before Sunday. But I'm not. Right now, in my mind's eye, I can't think of what the curveball will be, albeit I think there will be a curveball of some sort from Postecoglou. But the overconfidence argument is one side to it. But we've got every right as well. When you watch Celtic week in, week out, whether you're going to the games with your armchair fan like myself, and you're watching it, you've got every right to talk up what we're doing here as well. It's so important that whilst we'll have the debates between now and the end of the season, particularly over the summer, about where are we going as a football club, where are we spending our money? I'm not happy. Are we gonna give the Champions League a go this year? These are all real debates, but also when you're in this sort of form domestically, 1 defeat in 62, 63 domestic games, it's frightening. We've got a right to talk up our team as well. Do you know what I mean? And that doesn't need to strain to being overconfident. It's just a fact of appreciating the work that's been done so far, the effort the players are putting in, and just how well we're playing on the park.
Yeah, of course we have. I mean, I'm superbly confident about Sunday, but at the same time, a bit like Steve, when I wake up, first thing when I wake up on Sunday morning, the first thought will be about the game, and I'll be crapping it as well. And I'll be like that until I hear what the result is, because as I said, I'm not going to see a single minute of the game. I'll be lucky if I find out what the result is within 10 minutes of it finishing. Of course, we're entitled to be confident, because when you compare the two teams, man for man, we are not just better in every position, we're far superior in every position. I don't think there's any real doubt about that. And then when you throw in the substitutes, I mean, like, so when you've got a guy like Haksabanovic, you can't even get a start for us. But when he comes on, he looks the part. He is the part. But he's just up against a lot of very talented players as well. So of course we're entitled to be confident. We don't want to be overly confident. It's a very fine line between confidence and overconfident. If we go out there thinking the job's done before we even get stripped, then we might come a cropper. But I don't think we will. I don't think these players are that type. But yeah, we're absolutely well entitled to be super confident about the game. And the whole idea of curveballs, Bhoycie, is that's why they call them curveballs. You don't see them coming and you can't figure out what they're going to do. So you're probably wasting your time trying to figure out what the curveball is.
Yeah, I know. It just intrigues me. And I also think as well, when it comes to overconfidence, there's only so much influence we can have in this game, right? It's just minimal to none, right? We're just supporters, and I don't expect Ange to have any of the players going into the game overconfident, overcomplacent, or mirroring something that gets said on the Bhoycie Bus and go, oh, well, that's the right mindset to have. I'm going to have that. These are professional footballers who've been kept with their feet on the ground by the boss man. Do you know what I mean? This is what he comes into his own at. There was the press conference that was done yesterday, and it all seemed a bit baffling at times when you've seen the photos and that. But there was a brilliant question for you, and I name check him a lot, Tony Haggerty. And again, you go, he's a different gravy when it comes to doing this sort of thing. And he got a fantastic answer off Ange where he was saying basically, I've read your book. So he had him in the back, well, not the back foot, but you know what I mean? He had him going, oh, shit, he's going to, if you quote someone with their own words, it's always very difficult to then just brush off the comment, right? So he said, this is where you come into your own. This is what you relish as a manager. And I love the answer that he gave. He says, it doesn't matter though who it is you're playing. What I want these guys to realise is, as a retired former professional myself, your playing career's so short. Make every minute count, because you just don't know which golden nugget you're going to take away from your next game that will stay with you forever. Now, Sunday is full of opportunity for that, Steve-O. Full of opportunity for you to carve out a moment in your career that will last with you till you're 80 years old. You know what I mean? And that's what presents itself this Sunday. And I think if that's the mindset of the manager and he's getting that across to the players, then there's no danger of us having to worry about overconfidence from them. I don't see that being a problem at all.
No, listen, overconfidence, people would call it that. That's our gift as fans. That's if we can't get excited about good performances and be positive about your team, then you might as well just go up the road and turn the telly off or not go to the stadium or whatever, because that's for us to do. And folk might slag us off about it at a later date, but you know what? We're totally entitled to it, and you can only get excited about what's in front of you, and we've got plenty to get excited about. But Ange has been great at keeping level heads and feet on the ground ever since he's come in. And as he says, it's a calm before a storm, and he'll have the guys drilled. There's no doubt in my mind that he'll be shutting out all the noise. They might see some of it, but they'll know exactly what the task in hand is. There'll be guys there that have done it between winning the league and winning the League Cup the season over. There'll be folk there that have done it, but there'll also be fresh faces, and they'll be surrounded with guys with the experience that'll keep their feet on the ground. So no, listen, as I said, there's some fresh faces there that have got a real chance to go out and make a name for themselves. So like, say, Johnson, for example, he tried to tell me that guy's not going to be right up for it and know what it means. He's got that competitive edge that's, I think the players will be well...
He's tailor-made. He's tailor-made for these fixtures, I think, Steve.
They'll know what the brief is, and I've no worry that any of them are going to get consumed by the occasion whatsoever.
Well, this is it. Johnny, I don't know if you've seen any of Ange's press conference. I didn't give you that as homework as well, mate. Do you know what I mean? I've got to use you back in, big boy.
I didn't see any of it. All I seen was the photographs that they were showing, and Ange looking absolutely delighted to be with the mole,
He did not want to be there. But it's a wonderful sentiment that he captured in that reply to Tony. I love that idea of going, I want them to realise that this is an opportunity. It's something that you could remember fresh. I just thought it was a wonderful answer that he gave, because it brings back the romance of what football is all about. It reminds you of how special it is and how fortunate you are to have that as your career. When you get given chances like Hampden Park, first trophy, showpiece game against your rivals, and you're only, what's the average age of our first team? It must be around 24, 25. Do you know what I mean? They all seem so young. It's like, what a chance you've got in your hands to just make yourself memories. Do you know what I mean? Because that's all we've all got at the end of our lives at the end of the day, is a memory box. Do you know what I mean? And why not make a special one this Sunday? And I think if that's where Angie's head goes to in the lead up to these sort of games, I think that's a good place to go into. I think there's something really, really good about that. And you can only, I think he says he's a man of few words, but I've got a feeling whatever he says pre-match will be pretty inspiring if he can just pull that out the bag at a presser. Do you know what I mean? On the back of a question just thrown up to him. I think when he's got time to think about what he's going to be saying to the players, I think he'll connect and resonate with them pretty specially, to be honest with you.
Oh, yeah. When you talk about them creating memories for themselves that they can look back on when they get into their 80s, it's the same. They can create those memories for us as supporters. I still remember my first Scottish Cup final, Celtic Derby in 1975, Billy McNeil's last game. So, they're creating special memories for them, but they're also doing it for us, and they become They become the heroes and future legends, if you like. I know winning the League Cup on Sunday is not going to make any of them a legend, but it's going to be potentially a step on that pathway to becoming a legend or a great. And so, grasp the moment, make sure you're better than them, and give them a right, and give them a good doing. Let's have a good 4-5-0 victory that we can all look back on. And I can watch post-match pitch on Sunday night when I finish work and tell me all about the game, lads.
You know it, mate. I mean, Steve-O, this is the thing as well. There's one other side to the debate that last time we were at Hampden, actually, they beat us after extra time, right? Now, you're saying there about some of the players who will be coming into this sort of cauldron or whatever you want to call it for the first, maybe the second time in Johnston's case in their career. But there's other ones that go, actually, I've got something that's nipping away at me about this fixture. I've got something that pisses me off. That can be converted into positive energy as well, by the way, because sometimes the pain and the sting of a defeat is actually something that gives you that extra level to go to, because what you often see, I've read quite a lot of like manager autobiographies and stuff, and a quote that they often use is, remember how you feel today and never want to feel like it again. Do you know what I mean? So if you take that sort of edge into this game and go, remember how we all left Hampden last time? That ain't on the menu today. That can be turned into, I think, a positive spin as well. Not because I'm glad that we lost last time. I'm just saying now you can change that and go, right, you're wrong. Do you know what I mean? Fix your mistakes. And I think that'll be in the back of some of these boys' minds as well.
Of course, apart from the occasion itself being a cup final, there'll be guys who will want to atone for something that happened. That they'll be feeling hard done by at that game. That how late on they lost that match. But listen, these one-off games, I just think these players have got to be up for it. There's no coming back. There's no other way it can pan out. Now, obviously, when they get beat in the semi-final, it didn't make much of a difference, but they still, I dare say, they still had the hope that Rangers would then get beat in the final and it wouldn't make it feel too bad. No, this is one-off. This is a one-off, so to speak. There is no other outcome. If they win it, your rivals are taking home a trophy. So, there's no in between. There's no middle ground in between wanting to make good what happened the last time round at Hampden against Rangers, and the fact that it's a final and we're defending our trophy. You don't need any more. You don't need any more reasons to get you up for it than that, do you?
These factors all combined are, I think, healthy for competitive football. Do you know what I mean? That's what you want. You want to have almost, the not just being walking in on water. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, we're so great. You want sometimes that personality trait where you're going, I'm actually a wee bit effed off about what happened here last time. That can give you an edge, Steve-O, as well. And it's been great this morning because it's been half an hour there of us talking about it's the case for the defence, isn't it? And we've got to be kind of backing our team as well here. And
it's actually quite good, despite what folk will say. That's good.
Absolutely spot on. Johnny, with this fixture, there will become many other layers as well. We already can see, I said about 6 months ago, before VAR came in, I went, they're going to end up putting an asterisk beside this season. Do you know what I mean? The amount of decisions it's going to affect. That was before we'd seen it in action. And it's been even worse than I thought it would be. We do not want that to become one of the talking points, come Monday. Like, whether we win or lose. I nearly said win, lose or draw, but that ain't possible. If we win or lose, I don't want to be sitting having to do an hour with Terry on Sunday night talking about VAR costing us, or bringing, a dark cloud over the game, even though we got the win. We need to, I think sometimes as well, going into it, it's a narrative that we sometimes use as a comfort blanket. We'll be against 13 of them, we'll be against 12 of them, and I'm trying to move away from that, even though I'm acutely aware that could be something that brings the party to a bit of a slow. We want to be able to play that tempo that we're so accustomed to now, and that can be affected if for every single, not clear and obvious, for every single decision that might, 2 seconds, and you start doing that point here where a Johnston, a Taylor's trying to get the ball back into play. We don't want our rhythm affected by that, but we can't go in with a mindset either that VAR's already a ready-made excuse if the result weren't to go right.
We know that on Sunday night, whichever way it goes, you are going to be talking about a VAR decision at some point. It's just inevitable. I detest VAR with a passion, even when it's the top of the range version that other leagues have rather than the car boot sale that we've got. If we're going to have VAR, it should be used for like goal line technology and offsides, nothing else. Because every other decision just seems to be so contentious. Yes, it is. No, it's not. Whatever. Whereas an offside one, as long as they've got the lines drawn straight, then it's pretty conclusive. But you are going to be talking about VAR one way or the other on Sunday night, Bhoycie. It's just inevitable. And I actually prefer it when we didn't have the VAR and we just had good old arguments.
That's true. That's true.
Long before VAR, when we used to have black and white bloody cameras, never mind anything else. But now VAR, I hate it with a passion. Even watching English games, I absolutely hate it. English games that I've got no real interest in, but apart from the fact it's a football match and I'll watch it and it's a big game. And I hate it then. And they actually make a better job of it than we do up in Scotland, without a doubt. The very fact they've got more cameras around the pitch, probably better quality and whatnot. But you are going to be talking about VAR. There's going to be at least 2 major VAR decisions that will be getting discussed on Sunday night. That's what I reckon.
These are the sort of things that we need to overcome as well, though, Steve-O. We can't let the potential of VAR decisions going against us put any seeds of doubt into what it is we're trying to achieve on Sunday. We've got to go, VAR will be, it'll do its thing. It's its own sideshow. It's created its own big sort of character on the screen set of what is Scottish football, and it is now one of the main players. But we need to go into with the mindset of, but if we get all our fundamentals right and we carry on in the trajectory we are right now, we will overcome it. And that's the mindset I'm trying to keep, even as a supporter, going, don't get too wound up, don't get too drawn into it. Just believe in the team right now. That's what I'm hoping. We've got too much in the locker to still overcome whatever it is. Yeah. Johnny's probably right. Whatever, number of decisions VAR gets badly wrong.
Aye, listen, I'd see for that, I'd like to come back and draw our attention back to something that Matt O'Reilly said at Celtic Park after a few games, whereby there was the penalty, and he said something along the lines of about there being peculiar decisions made around VAR, etc. No matter what they do, they can't stop us. So, to quote yourself, they're acutely aware of the risks that come with it and all that fanfare and all that belief and all that paranoia that surrounds VAR. But I think they're harnessing that and using it a healthy way and going, you know what? Doesn't matter what's happening, doesn't matter what's put in front of us, whether it's VAR, whether it's referees, no matter what team it is, they won't stop us. And see if that's the healthy mindset they've got, then do you know what? It should just be a sideshow. It should just be a circus. I dare say we all talk about some sort of VAR decision because that all seems to be, but hopefully it's just something stupid like an off-the-ball incident that somebody maybe should have got booked for and nothing happened to it. But at the end of the day, it doesn't affect the result.
I think one thing as well, Johnny, is whilst we're in what feels like a period of dominance right now from Celtic, we are still in its infancy in terms of there's been 3 trophies up for grabs, all of them last season. We've won 2 of them. Now, this season, at this point in time, we don't actually have any reward to show for what has felt like an extremely dominant Celtic campaign domestically, right? I think you look at the league table, as I say, the 1 defeat in 62, whatever it is. I was saying last night to Jonathan, I want your take on it as well. The important thing is, though, to make sure you rubber stamp these with the trophies, and they're the validation at the end of the day of what we feel is an extremely dominant, a superior, you were saying, player for player Celtic team. Well, that'll only be proven by one thing, and it'll only be the yardstick that's measured by will be one thing, and that is trophies. So starting Sunday, it's time to start making sure Angie's era is laced with trophies as well to sort of support the narrative that we've got. And our eyes aren't lying. We're seeing the best team in Scotland, we believe, week in, week out in green and white hoops. But it can only be confirmed by actually getting your name on the trophies as well.
Yeah, of course it is, because at the end of the day, that's what football's all about. It's about winning games and winning trophies, whether it be cups or titles. You've just got to as you said, Ange, some people will already be comparing Ange ahead of Martin O'Neill, ahead of Rodgers, but he's not got the trophy haul yet. Admittedly, he's not had the time yet. He's not competed in enough trophies for that, but he's got to add to that trophy haul to get into that sort of in that realm. As far as we already think he walks on water. Let's face it. But he's got to have the trophies in the bag to in the cabinet to prove it. It's like Mark was saying on the show the other week there. The other morning, I should say, Sunday Blether, I think it was. That's what football. That's what Celtic's all about. It's all about winning trophies, going on the club tour. Let's see the trophy room. Show me these trophies, because that's what we want. And Ange needs to, and even, I'm sure he will. I've got no doubt in my mind that over the piece, once he's gone and into history books, he'll have a good half a dozen at least trophies that he'll be able to say it was my team that put them in there.
Yeah, and that's what you want, because it's quite ironic that when Johnny says that, people saying Ange is maybe better than Martin O'Neill and stuff. Well, Martin O'Neill knew how to win a trophy, didn't he? I mean, look how many he won. And if he's been consigned to now falling down the ladder, do you know what I mean? In the food chain of best Celtic managers since the new millennium, it's like, really? So for all I'm saying, validation is found in trophies. I think recency bias comes into it based on that, Johnny, as well, if people are even suggesting that, because right now, for me, it's not even close, because the trophies will be the yardstick, as I say. But Steve, it is a compelling point that we are driven by the trophy cabinet. We are. That is what we will base success or failure on as Celtic supporters. As I say, it's opportunity. That's all it is this Sunday. It's opportunity to get that sorted. But with that comes a level of responsibility as well, because it will be, a season that we end up looking back on. We'll be a bit deflated if there's only, say, 1 out of 3 in there. I mean, just to play devil's advocate, just to spice it up a wee bit. I mean, Neil Lennon's was accused of chucking away trebles and all that. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's how his first stints looked at. You're like, chucking away trebles, like as if they just grow on trees. It's like it's not that straightforward. And the appreciation will be there if we are to achieve something like that. It will be given to him. But also, I think there will be a feeling of a wee bit of deflation come this Monday if it weren't to go our way and we think, how have we not rubber stamped this past 6 months of brilliant football with the first trophy of the season in the cabinet?
Of course, it goes without saying that's what we support our team for, and that's what the team play for. You want trophies, you want something that validates everything you've saw in front of you. The stats are fantastic in terms of goals scored, the performance we've seen, and you just want something to put to bed all the noise, if you will, of who's the better team. See, at the end of the season, you says if we came away with 1 trophy out of 3, you'd be absolutely gutted. Obviously, you'd be more so gutted because this final's against Rangers. But I just think that if we get this trophy over the line, it does exactly what it done last season. It just bookmarks, this is where we're at. Just remember, and then that'll give us more impetus to push on and move through, because let's be honest as well, see, stop the narrative. Realistically, Rangers will always use the league to say it was a half league for them, right? Who cares?
Totally.
There's 2 trophies that we're both in that he's been around for, that he can affect. So it's important for us to do what we do and win that, because then there can be no chat back, there can be no comeback on that. Their great saviour will have came up against their manager, and if he doesn't walk away with any of them, then the narrative's quashed as far as I'm concerned.
You're spot on. And I mean, you talk about the overconfidence argument and things like that. Well, what I also think the League Cup brings is a combination of things. It's not just the trophy, and it's not just the signposting, throughout the season that that kind of certifies the dominance. I think if you get the League Cup, it's that first hammer blow, and whilst it gives us the confidence to then go on and take charge and go and win the league, I actually think the league gap, you will then start seeing that grow, because I think what you're then doing is landing such a heavy blow on your rivals that their 1-goal wins or their narrow late goals or whatever it'll be, they'll become draws. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm glad you said that, because there's not been any real chink in the armour for Rangers so far, and they've got through, and you can only base on results. But I think that for us, a win, in particular a strong win, you'll start to see more slip-ups. I think they're just riding the crest of the wave, and it's up to us to wash them away, to be honest. I think this could be the one that does it.
Well, definitely, because it can't just be a cause for, and we've spent, been very, very positive about it all, Johnny, in the first half of the show, but it comes with, that scary territory for your rivals that, how will the defeat impact on them? What then does that, what trajectory does that change the rest of this domestic season onto? And I think you'll find it would be very, very difficult for them to pick themselves up, just even stay in the race, which, to be fair, when we talk about the wins record they've got, I think the displays have been bang average, but the win record and the points on the board have been very respectable. Not very impressive, you could say. I think that will change. Like, how will you feel once you've had a defeat? How does that first body blow feel? Do you know what I mean? It's like they say before you go to a boxing match, you've got a plan, you've got a master plan until you get punched in the face, yeah. And everything goes out the window. And I think that's where we could be at for them, that, whilst the form might look sticky, but they've been picking up results, I think they'll find that a hell of a lot harder to keep doing if, that first trophy and the images, remember, Celtic know how to celebrate a trophy as well, And I think sometimes that can just be that demoralising sort of blow that would lead us, I think, to then win the League Cup. And I think you're looking at 2 out of the 3 trophies are now kind of banked, in my opinion. I know that sounds quite ballsy to say that, but I do think that's the effect it would have. The rippling effect would be it'll then go into the league form, creep into the league form. And ours in a good way, theirs maybe just in a wee bit more of a negative one.
I think, quite frankly, if we win on Sunday, which I'm confident we will do, and if we give them a good hiding, a good win for us, a 2 or 3-0, it'll be a hammer blow for them on that front. And I think you're right. We will increase the lead points wise as well as goal difference wise, which is what we've been doing since Beale arrived. I mean, yeah, they say we haven't increased the gap, but we have. But yeah, as you said, you look at their results, and if you didn't know anything about Scottish football and you just looked at the results since he came in, you'd look and say he must be doing all right. They've only dropped 2 points since he arrived. I mean, in anybody's language, that looks good. But it's like you said, performances bang average. What was it? Last minute winner against Aberdeen, injury time winner, late goals,
injury time double.
What was that?
It was 2 goals in injury time. They got against 1-0 down.
So they've. I'm not saying they've not probably had a decent performance at some point, but they haven't closed the gap in points, and we have actually increased the gap because of the goal difference. I don't know what it was when Beale arrived on the goal difference, but if they're winning 1 and 2-1, and we're winning 3 or 4-0, we're increasing our lead. We now need to lose 4 games for them to even get level.
We've got to drop points in 4 games.
Yeah. And that's what happens. So if we win on Sunday, or when we win on Sunday, that will be a hammer blow to them, particularly if we give them a good 4-0 like we did it earlier on in the season. And they will start to... The players that are looking to move on, Ibrox will probably start looking to think a bit more. The heads will just go down, end of.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we'll go on to win the title by 12 to 14 points.
This is it, because what we've got at Celtic as well is a lot of certainty, right? And they've got a lot of uncertainty. You're right to talk about the players coming out of contract here. I didn't realise it was as many. Someone was saying it in the comments last night, it was like 12 first-team players.
Well, that's about the best part of the first team,
yeah, we've got the certainty of that. Almost every player that's joined this club has joined on a 5-year deal. Okay, with that certainty comes, we know they're all going to be linked to moves away at various points throughout each and every window, and probably throughout the season as well. We know that. But the certainty we've got is we know they're all committed to Celtic for the long haul. We know Ange's got a big say in the majority of players that are coming in right now. I would say the vast majority, it's been an Ange Postecoglou production. With that, certainty becomes a settled sort of mindset across the team. Everyone, as I say, on the same hymn sheet, you can tell. And I think Johnny's absolutely right. That could implode if you've got guys that maybe at the back of their mind right now are thinking about the exit door at Rangers, but it's been put to the back of their mind because of these wins and staying in the race effectively. Then when that all comes crashing down, before you know it, that door's getting closer and closer to them. They start checking out effectively.
Yeah.
Whereas Celtic, we've got no one. There's not one player. If we thought there was, we got rid of them in January. And that was Giakoumakis and Juranovic.
Yeah.
And that, again, as I always say, this is how the stories all flip and they change all the time, Steve-O. That'll turn into the stroke of genius that Ange will be banking on it being going, well, you know, we had 2 guys that checked out. Look at them, and they've got players checking out, and it's, you know, folding like a pack of cards or whatever. Cheers for that one, Dave King. But you know, when you suddenly he'll go, you know, you just need to look across there when guys are looking at the exit door. Look at the disharmony it brings. Look at the level of performance it brings. We had 2, so I got rid of them both. Do you see the benefits of that now? Do you get it now? And it's like, all right, I know you're aiming that at me, Ange. Cheers. Do you know what I mean?
I mean,
but there's definitely a level of certainty we've got.
Yeah. Wait, when you sit side by side, when you stack them up side by side, there's two completely different stories that have been spun as being the same. In our camp, it's players are settled, long-term contracts, we're winning, we're on top, it's all positive. Any links or uncertainties are fabricated nonsense in the press. There's no substance to them. You look across, you've got, as you say, about 12, I think, maybe up to 14 if you take in loans, guys who are due to leave in the summer. And then also they're building themselves up. I've seen guys like Raskin and Tillman who have been here, a drop in the ocean, telling us, I can't wait to Sunday, we'll show them we've got a better team and all that kind of nonsense, right? So these guys in themselves, not only have they built themselves up, maybe blocked out the uncertainty around the club, that's why a loss for them, in my opinion, just starts to unpick all that at the seams. These guys that have bought into this, that they're the greatest team and the best team in the league, how are they going to feel if they're walking away on the end of a 3-0 cuffing? And then, as you say, all these guys that are hanging around and maybe thinking, well, if I win a cup, that'll look good for my CV, that'll maybe help with the move, or will maybe even make me want to stay and get G'd up. How do they all feel at the end of this? So I am very content with where we're at.
Aye. Not just that, Steve. You've also got the likes of Ryan Kent, and he might surprise us and sign a new deal before the end of the week. But he's out of contract at the end of the season. We give him a spanking on Sunday. That trophy on the flag. The league's already got the ribbons tied on it. It's just not been presented to us yet. Is he going to bust a gut for a lost cause in case he gets an injury?
Yeah.
Which screws up a move to, I don't know, Doncaster Rovers or something like that?
Well, let's flip it and let's go. Celtic's in that position where key first team players all across the team are not, maybe, we talk about Ayer checked out, Edward had checked out. They still had over 12 months left in the deal when we were saying that about them. 18 months at times, that during that campaign that we were saying they'd checked out. I mean, I think if we were in a position that was that vulnerable with so many first team players going out, I'd be describing Celtic right now, Johnny, as in disarray. I'd be going, I don't know what's happening at my club yet. There's no focus on the shambles they've allowed that to become. And I'm not saying that for as much as getting a wee pot shot in is great fun. I'm not even trying to say it in that style. I'm just going, they seem to be currying this favour where no one's even looking at it and going, wow, that don't look too great. That many players out of contract, that much, as I say, uncertainty around first team players. Loan deals coming to an end that haven't been made permanent yet, which, albeit they may well do. But a lot of the guys that are coming to the end of their term, as you say, potentially could check out in the final 5 months. How have Rangers allowed it to get to this? Nobody seems to be talking about the mess that I think any other team would be described as being in if they were in that environment.
Yeah. Well, you say, Bhoycie, that if we flipped it and it was us in that situation, they would be. I mean, they did when the likes of Edward was checking out with 12 months to go and Ayer. They were describing us as being in disarray. So it's not a case of they would be doing
it. 30 million quid.
They did, yeah. But yeah, they were describing us, clubbing. It was almost back to the cracked crests on the back page of the papers, like from the 90s, But it has been relatively quiet on that. And in fact, all you're getting is that Beale's making the right noises about Kent and Morelos potentially signing new deals. So there's definitely a bias in that respect. It would be a lot more slanted and a lot more heavily reported and built up if it was Celtic that was in that position with their players coming to the end of their deals. I mean, some of them are actually, how many of them are at the end of the deals in 5 months?
Yeah.
I mean, they could sign new deals with another club tomorrow, can't they?
Yep.
Mhm.
And this is the thing. I mean, as much as you could say it's biased, I think us as Celtic fans would be looking at the club and going, "What the fuck are we doing here? We're in a mess." We would be realistic about it. Yet it's all feel good over there right now.
Yeah.
You think they were in the best movie ever right now, and I'm going, I don't. All right, but that is comforting lies and not awkward truths that they're operating in right now.
It's a great point that you make, and it's fascinated me. And, I hate saying it, but to his credit, Michael Beale's managing to sit in a room that's on fire and tell everybody it's all right. Because let's be honest, he has his team he's on the verge of losing up to 12 first team players, and a lot of those guys have paid money for. Helander, for example, what was he, about 5 million? Kent, so on and so forth, and there's no mention of it. And do you know, it's always made me think as well, and I asked this question to a few friends, don't want to talk too much about them, but I'm fascinated by the fact that he's playing these guys, obviously, because, well, let's be honest, there isn't many options and he has to play them.
Of course.
I'm thinking to myself, they're getting through games, and guys like Kent are saying they've rejuvenated their cause, and Morelos and stuff, but I kind of think to myself, are they playing because they want to play for him and they believe in him, or are they playing because they're thinking, oh, nothing's came in yet, the time's ticking, I better start wanting that player and give myself more options? Or do I end up just taking the contract that will probably get slid across to me for Rangers and stay here for another couple of trophyless, leagueless seasons? I don't know.
It's strange.
The question is, I've never read any clubs being credited with an interest in Kent, whereas we get it, and like I said, he's a contract at the end of the season, and yet we've had the likes of Newcastle apparently connected with O'Reilly 4 months ago. So is it the case of there is no interest in Kent, or it's just not being reported, or obviously the stuff with O'Reilly was all crap, but there's just none of that sort of what you would call unsettling reports coming through about any of their players.
No.
Yeah.
Who
from the MSN there
to
isn't.
check out tomorrow and sign for whatever club put a decent contract in front of them. But there's no whispers.
If Celtic were in that position right now, I would be bricking it for Sunday. That's the honest truth. Because I would have a million theories on why the players, like Steve was suggesting, why is he only got 5 months left? How did he get to that? I can see you in there, Bob, and I'll give you a wee bit of feedback, mate. I don't think it's Mickey Beale's fault either that they've got it to that stage. I just mean, as a club, it ain't great, and you've got to be honest. I mean, I say it ain't great. I mean, it looks like carnage, and yet it's not been reported as that whatsoever. And I don't know. I think that again is one of these other factors that potentially they've been on a plaster put on it by the results that have came in so far. As you get the win on Sunday for Celtic, and then suddenly that plaster comes off, and folks start going, actually, they are a wee bit in disarray when you look at it. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Wow, how did it get to that stage? Because everyone then looks for reasons. Why did we get beat? How did we get beat? And suddenly that becomes maybe, a bigger elephant in the room. Right, we will call it there. 9:30. I've got to get some work done. But it's been brilliant having you both on, and I really enjoyed the debate today. I feel like we were in a good place today, guys. That was a good place to come from, talking about Sunday. The hype bus, as I say, is very much in full flow this week. We will be back tomorrow for the TNF, so do not miss that. Johnny Logie, enjoyed being back on the breakfast bar first time.
Yeah, it has been good being back on the breakfast bar. Yeah, I've enjoyed it. I've missed it the last couple of weeks, but yeah, enjoyed it. Good. And nice to be on with Steve for the first time as well. So,
pleasure.
So, yeah.
Friends, Steve, great to have you on this morning, mate. Brilliant. You enjoyed the old 8:30 start, mate? It's a wee bit different, isn't it?
Aye, you know what? The sun's beaming in. I've had to put. It's killing me. It's blinding me now. So it came at a good point to finish up, because otherwise,
actually, I wondered where you were. I was like, it definitely doesn't look
like
that
at the back of the house. And I've normally get the blind down and whatnot, but because it's at night, but it's blazing in. You get a
sunny, mate.
Sunny side in the garden. So
one last point before we go. I want to know what Terry Robb's opinion is of long life milk. Does he approve, or is it got to be full fat, semi-skimmed, whatever? I don't know. Terry, let us know.
You've just made his morning, by the way. Right, we'll call it there. See you later.
See you.
Well, you've all that stuff at the start. You know, they won't be playing Tina Turner on the coach on the way home, will they?
Some of his comments about me deliberately trying to cause controversy. Well, I work in the media now. And you've got someone sitting there next to you who's an embarrassment to the media profession. He's an apologist. He's a charlatan. He's a Rangers puppet. He's a cheerleader. That's what he is.